So do you want to know how to create a clustered column chart in Power BI? That's what we're here for today. We're going to be creating a clustered column chart in Power BI. Welcome back to another video in the power of the BI. That's right, welcome back to another video in the power of the BI. So today we are going to be creating a clustered column chart in Power BI. We're just going to be taking this report, building it one visual at a time. In today's visual, we are going to be creating a clustered column chart. So we're going to get right into this thing. We're going to get busy right from the very beginning. So here's the deal. You've probably already seen this report. If you haven't already, you can look at it in one of my other videos here on YouTube. But we are going to take this report, which seems to be, or maybe even looks to be, somewhat complicated, complex type report. And what I'm telling you is, at the end of the day, when you're creating a Power BI report, we build Power BI reports one visual at a time. That's right, we build Power BI reports one visual at a time. In today's visual, we are going to be taking this particular visual right here. It's considered to be what's called a clustered column chart in Power BI. I'm not going to say that it's easy, because I've been doing it for a while. So, maybe it is not that easy to those that have not built clustered column charts before. But what I want to show you is a very simple manner in which to build this report. We're going to use the exact same data. We're not going to change anything. We're going to use the exact same data, and we're going to build out this Power BI report, or not the Power BI report, but this clustered column chart. Then what I'm going to show you is I have actually created a tool. I've actually created a tool. I created an artificial intelligence tool. Yep. Give it up for myself. Give it up for myself. That's what's up. I've created an artificial intelligence tool. So for those of you guys that are already working in organizations and you're trying to get into maybe the BI departments and stuff like that, I've created a tool to where all you have to do is input the column name. We're going to walk through here, and we're going to build this thing out manually, but I've created a tool to where all you have to do is input the name of the column, input the type of data, again, the column name and the data type, click enter, hit generate, whatever you want to call it, and it's going to spit out the information that you're going to need in order to build out this report, so that you ain't got to necessarily go through and try to figure out what goes where. It's going to tell you what goes on the x-axis. It's going to tell you what goes on the y-axis. And look, check it out. For those of you guys that say, I don't really want to code, this, that, and the third, what I'm here to tell you is, well, what I always say is, Power BI is low code to no code. I mean, I've got friends that are in Power BI that code all the time and build complex DAX measures and calculated columns. I have friends that are that are working in Power BI, and they don't use any measures or calculations when it comes to building out different charts and visualizations inside of Power BI. So it really is. It's truly low code to no code. But what I've just created is going to take Power BI developers to a whole other level. Everyone, I'm sorry, it looks like my computer is about to die out on me. We don't want that to happen. Let me plug it up real quick. Everyone that's in Power BI and everyone that wants to get into Power BI will be able to use this code. Well, not everyone. You could if you were part of my team, part of the inner circle. If you was part of the inner circle, if you was a mentee, and if you're in the mentor program, you will be able to utilize this, utilize the tool that I've created, this application that I've created. So with that, the reason why we'll get into the application after we get into the report, because I could be talking gibberish until you see exactly what's going on. But at the end of the day, so here's the deal. What we do know is that a Power BI report is basically it's a story. It tells the story of an organization. Let me get some housekeeping out the way real quick. This is a report that I created using a sample data set that I created. This has nothing to do with Ford. I basically used the symbolisms of Ford just for the simple fact that many of us know the logo of Ford. We know what Ford does. So it's not like, well, what kind of company is that? And what do they do? And why did you use this? And why did you use that? No, the data is the data. It doesn't matter if it's Ford, if it's GM, if it's McDonald's, if it's Bowles Beats or whatever it could be, right? The data is the data. And I like the colors, so it was kind of intriguing for me to put this report together just because I like the colors and the way that the colors match together. But at the end of the day, just understand that the data is the data. I don't work for Ford. Ford does not sponsor this segment. I don't think that I own any Ford stock. I could, but I'm not sure. So I'm not going to say that I don't. I just want to be totally transparent there so that someone won't be saying, well, he just did that because they're paying him and he's just trying to advertise and market for them. No, that's not the case. But if it was the case, I would let you know. And I don't have a problem with letting you know if that was the case. Let's see here. Just needed to send a little email there, had a little something come through. So what we're going to do is we are going to just go through the chart. But at the end of the day, many of you, or not many of you probably, and specifically, have seen this report. If you haven't seen this report, it is out. I do have it published. I did it. I built out this report step by step, inch by inch, step by step, inch by inch. Slowly I turned. I think that was on like some after school special one day way back in the day. But I'm gonna leave that alone because that really has nothing to do with this particular report. But this video. But in this particular report, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 11 or 12 visuals on this report. But we are only going to be looking at the clustered column chart report. This is the one that is highlighted, and we are going to go in and we are going to build out this report. We're going to build this visual, and the intent of building this visual is to show you just how simple it is to build a visual. And if you build the report one visual at a time, you can end up with a report that looks like this. So what I'm going to do is I just wanted to show you what the actual end outcome is. I'm pretty sure you've seen this report before if you've been following this channel, but if not, this is what the end result would be here. From a report level. Now, if we published it, then it would become a dashboard. We could make it become a dashboard, and it would become, there's another level to the end of the report. But at the end of the day, the end of the report building itself is right here. And basically, all of these different visuals are what create this particular report. So what I'm going to do is I am going to create, or I'm going to add a brand new page. And if I add a brand new page, this is what it would look like if we were starting out building or developing a Power BI report. We're going to use the same report data and tables and columns that were in this particular that's in this particular report right over here. So what I am going to do, I am going to go up to clustered column chart, and I think it's kind of small to me here, but this is the clustered column chart. I'm going to pull in clustered column chart, and I think we used dealer ID, and we used sale. So I'm going to bring dealer ID down to the x-axis. And all of these guys here are the different tables within this report. But this transactions table is the table that we're going to use in order to build the report. And for some reason, that didn't come out the way pull the wrong column. So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to go back in. I'm going to bring in dealer ID to the x-axis and sum of sales to the y-axis. The reason why I said sum is because I saw the sigma notation. I saw the sigma, not sigma notation, but I saw the sigma sign. And the sigma sign denotes sum, which it lets me know that it is an actual number or something that can be added. A number, a whole number, integer, decimal number, whatever you want to call it, whatever that data type that you're working with. That is what the sigma beside a column lets us know that it is what a sigma sign beside a column lets us know that it is a column that has a data type that can be aggregated, added, subtracted, multiplied, divided, and whatever other mathematical calculations you can come up with and perform if you needed to create some type of measure. Again, I don't want to get too spooky. What I wanted to show you here was just how easy it was to create this column, create this chart. So just by dragging dealer ID to the x-axis and dragging the sales to the y column, to the y-axis, it gave us a chart. Just let me do it again, because y'all may think it was something spooky. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to go back up. I'm just going to bring dealer ID to the x-axis, and I'm going to bring sales to the y-axis, and voila, I have created a chart. And if you are following along with me, you have created a chart. If you are in the mentor group and you're following here, you know it's pretty simple, and you already have a copy of the data set that's used to build this entire report. More specifically, the data set that's used for this particular table to build this specific chart. If you're not in the mentor program, that's okay. All you have to do is join in on one of the webinars. It's a totally free webinar. You can join in on one of my webinars, and in the webinar, if you join the webinar, I actually will send you a copy of the data set anyway. So you could be in the mentor group, or you could be a participant in the webinar. If you sign up for the webinar and show up. Now, you may show up and sign off, but sign up for the webinar and show up. I do send you a copy of this particular data set, and you are able to you're able to go through and create the different visualizations as I create them, you know, for all of the different visuals, not just for the cluster column chart. But so what we did here is we created the custom column chart, and it was relatively simple. But then you say, well, T, what if I wanted to change the color? What if I want to change the color and I don't really want, well, let me back up. I don't want to change the color first. First, what I'm saying is, hey, the only Power BI visual that I know how to create is the clustered column chart. And we know that, you know, you probably need to have at least 4 visuals on a report in order to really call it a report. Yeah, this is considered to be a report because it has a visual on it. But, you know, you probably want to have at least 4 visuals. And now we're saying, hey, the only thing I know how to create is a cluster column chart, and I need this thing to do several different. I need several different cluster column charts, because I need my manager to really believe that I'm out here creating Power BI reports. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller. I'm going to drag it over, and I'm going to highlight it and hit Control C. I hit Control C, then Control V. Now I've got Control C and Control V. Then I'm going to do that one more time, but I'm going to highlight both. Control C, then Control C. And now I'm going to select Control V. Now I have 4 clustered column charts. Then when I have visuals, I like to align my visuals up so that it makes the report be aesthetically pleasing. So the red lines, the red dash lines now show me that horizontally they are lined up, and then the horizontal line shows me that they're lined up as well. I'm not sure about this particular one, so I'm going to line the horizontal and vertical red lines up, and now they should be right on top of each other. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over and I'm going to insert a text box. And in the text box, I'm going to call this my Power BI. Let's see, Power BI clustered column charts. Clustered column chart. And I'm going to drag it here. And I'm going to spread, I'm going to spread it out across the whole visual, lining the red lines up, so I know that it's lined up with the outside, the right line outside of the red line, and outside the left line of the red line. I'm going to make sure they're lined up together. There we go. Let's see. So it's totally lined up. Then I am going to change the size, and I go from a 10, let's see, a 20 may be big. No, let's make it a little bit bigger. No, that's okay. Let's do this. Let's just center it, and then let's bold it. I actually want to raise it up a little bit so it won't be sitting right on top of the clustered column charts. So now, we actually have a report. The report is only made out of clustered column charts, but if the clustered column chart is the only thing we know how to make, we want to be able to make a doggone good clustered column chart, right? So as we see here in this first one, we said, hey, this clustered column chart is the standard blue color. Well, I don't want all of my charts to be the same color, so I'm going to come over to this. I don't want all of them. I don't want all of my charts to be the same color. So I'm going to come over to the second chart. I'm going to come over to the visualizations pane. I'm going to click format. Then I'm already in visuals. So then I am going to go down to columns. And rather than this one being blue, I'm going to make it, I'm going to pull it over here to this orange. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to highlight the third clustered column chart. Now, as you can see, when I went over from visualizations pane here to over here, when I clicked the visualizations pane and I made that change to orange, then I went to the same visual type, which was another clustered column chart. It kept me in the visualizations pane under format in the exact same area, so that now all I have to do is just click on the color, and I want to change the color to, I'm going to use this pink color. So what does that really mean? So again, if I go from, if I'm already highlighted, if I'm making format changes on one clustered column chart, and I go to the next clustered column chart, since it's the same visual type, it's going to keep me in the same format area. But if I happen to click off of this chart, now that visualizations pane is gone. So when that format in the visualizations pane is gone. So now I've got to click on the next column chart, the next cluster column chart, and I've got to start all over again as to where I want to go. So I'm going to highlight this cluster column chart, and I am going to go to the format pane again. Then I'm going to go down to columns. And when I go down to columns, I am going to change this cluster column chart to be one of these shades of yellow. So now it was just that simple. When creating the column chart, and I want to make color changes, that's all I had to do. Now, when I go back over to my original cluster column chart and I say, hey, I've got items on the x-axis and I've got items on the y-axis. What I want to do is I want to make the text color changes on the x-axis and the y-axis to be different colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the first one. I'm going to highlight this cluster column chart, and I am going to, let's see, I'm going to go back to format, because anytime we want to make changes, we go to format. I'm going to go to format. I'm going to go to the x-axis. I don't want that to be that blackish gray color. I don't want the text to be the blackish gray color. So I selected the x-axis, the values on the x-axis, which these are the values on the x-axis. And then I am going to select that I want the values on the x-axis to be orange. And let's see, I want the values on the y-axis. So I go to y-axis, I click values, and I want the values on the y-axis to be orange. Now, what you can tell here is when I selected orange on the x-axis, since that was the last color that I selected on the x-axis, that color is already, it's still in the same, it's in the last place. So when I went to the y-axis, all I had to do was select that color. So I'm going to make the color changes in each one of my clustered column charts. So on this particular column chart, I am going to select on the y-axis, I want to make that color, well, let's just do an opposite there. So let's make the text, the y-axis, the x-axis values to be blue, and we want so let's close out the x-axis. Then we're going to select the y-axis, and we want the y-axis colors to be blue as well. So now we've got the y-axis is blue, and we've got the x-axis as blue. Now, let's go down to our pink clustered column chart, and we're going to have a different color for the x-axis and the y-axis because for the values, because you don't have to have the same colors for the x-axis values and the y-axis values. So I'm going to show you that here. So I'm going to say in the x-axis, we're going to select that color to be, let's choose, no, I want to choose the pink. Let's choose a reddish color. And then for the y-axis, we're going to choose the y-axis and then the values, and we're going to select the y-axis values to be, let's say, let's choose that to be this color blue. So now for the first cluster column chart, we left the standard color for the columns to be the same, which was that standard blue. Then we changed the x-axis values to orange. We changed the y-axis values to orange. And then on the orange clustered column chart, we changed the x-axis values to be blue, and we changed the y-axis values to be blue. Then on the pink clustered column chart, we kind of chose the reddish color to be the color of the x-axis values, and we chose the bluish color to be the color for the y values. Now, just so we can, get a little bit more practice, we're going to make the changes to the cluster column chart on the yellow cluster column chart as well. So we're going to highlight the cluster column chart. Then we're going to go back over to the x values, and we're going to change the x values to, let's say, a light reddish color. And we're going to change the yellow cluster column chart values to a slight orange color. They look almost the same, but we know just by selection that they were actually different. Let's see, only one that's popping up. Sorry, got something just popping up here on my computer, and I've got to respond Okay, sorry about that. Didn't mean to take your time away from the class. But anyway, so that is how we create a clustered column chart. But before we get out of here, there's a couple other things that we could do, but I don't want to waste all your time just going over the clustered column chart, because I did tell you about an application I created I created an artificial intelligence application, which will allow you, let's see here. So the way we brought in this data so we brought the data in, and then the x-axis values are values that come from a column, and the y-axis values are values that come from a column. Now, you may say, hey, how do I know where to put it? How do I know if I put the columns in the x-axis or put the columns in the y-axis? And yeah, I remember when I first got started in Power BI, and I was like, I'm never gonna figure this out. So what I did was I created an application. Say you have columns. So basically, let's say we have dealer ID, just as we just did in the original. We've got dealer ID, which is a string data type. So we're going to say add dealer ID column, and we had sales, just as we did in the Power BI report. We're going to call that a number, and we're going to say add the column. Then we're going to say generate chart suggestions. So when we say generate chart suggestions, now it's telling us, hey, put dealer ID in the x-axis, put sales in the y-axis, and even if we wanted to come up with just some sort of measure, because remember, I said that Power BI is low code to no code. In this particular case, the code is already created for you right here. If you wanted to go just a little step further, you could create the code. But not only do you have one suggestion, you have two, right? You got dealer ID and sales, and we've got one code we could create is sum of sales, and another code we could create is average sales. So with that said, as long as you have Power BI and you have the data sets already in Power BI, you can say, hey, these are the columns I have, these are the columns I have, and you can put in any number of columns and just hit generate, and it'll tell you, hey, use this particular, you can use this particular column and place it in the x-axis, and use this particular column and place it in the y-axis, and it's gonna automatically generate. It's gonna automatically generate. It's gonna generate where you should place the columns, whether it be in the x-axis or the y-axis. But it's also going to generate a measure to give you an example of, well, not even an example. It could, if you wanted to use a measure to make it just a little, just give it a little bit more to your report, or a little bit more to your visualization. It's saying, hey, use this measure as well. So now you've got sum of sales, and you've got average sales, and it's telling you exactly what to. This is the exact measure that you would place in Power BI. It's no probable, is not, you could use, no, use this measure or use this measure, and you've added a lot more flair to your Power BI report, a lot more customization just by adding these two measures. But you may say, hey, I'm not to the point to where I want to add measures yet. I just want to know what goes in the x-axis, and what goes on the x-axis, and what goes on the y-axis. And boom, you just put the columns in, just type all you have to do is type the column in, just like I did here. Type the column in just like I did here. type the data type in just like I did here. Type the data type in just like I did here and hit generate chart suggestions, and it's going to tell you, hey, place dealer ID on the x-axis and sales on the y-axis. Suggestion number 2, place dealer ID on the x-axis and place sales on the y-axis. What is that telling you? You got 2 suggestions telling you to do the same thing. So at minimum, you know, don't put sales on the x-axis and don't put dealer ID on the y-axis. Put dealer ID on the x-axis, put sales on the y-axis, and you're gonna get a cluster column chart. Okay, off top, you're gonna get a cluster column chart. Then it's saying, hey, if you wanna measure to add to your report, you've got this measure, which is sum of sales, and you got this measure, which is average sales. Right there, boom, voila, right? Now, those of you guys that are in my mentor program, you already know how to use this. You already know how easy this makes your life. For those of you guys out there that's saying, hey, you want to get in, you're not sure if you want to be a part of Team T and power of the BI, hey, if for no other reason, this right here can save you time. Let's just say you have a report and it's, say you have a project that you're working on. It's got 100 tables. It's got 100 different columns that you're working with, and you don't know where to start. You don't know where to start or what to do. All you have to do is plug in, let's just say 20 columns in their data types and hit generate suggestions. And before you know it, you've got the whole, you got 20 different charts that you can create. Now, this report here, this app here is only generating for a chart, but trust me, we've got this particular application. We've got an application like this for about 15 different Power BI visualizations. What does that mean? If you got 15 different Power BI visualizations and you got 10 different suggestions on what visuals to place on the report, you've got 150 different visuals that you can place on the report, and it's going to generate it for you in less than 15 minutes, right? And when I say less than 15 minutes, you saw how quick we generated the report just for this. But you know, actually, we've got one app that it's going to generate 15 visualizations for you. I mean, it's incredible, and you will see it. Those of you guys that are in my mentor program, I'm gonna share that app with you here in the coming weeks. But for those of you guys that are saying, hey, I am not sure if I want to be a part of Power of the BI, look, trust me, there is nobody else out there that's teaching Power BI that's doing this. I'm making your life simple. I'm teaching you Power BI, and I'm giving you an application that you can use that you don't even need to know what visuals to place on the page, because all you got to do is pop in the columns, pop in the data types, and it's going to generate the information for you. Your bosses are going to love you. Your managers are going to love you. They're going to think you're the next best thing since sliced bread. But I'm going to leave that alone. Anyway, if you're interested in participating in the webinar, joining in on the webinar this coming Sunday, listen, just click the link below. Just click the link below, and I will send you the information to join the webinar. And if you join the webinar and just show up, I send you this particular data set so you can practice. You can practice building out reports. And then those of you guys that are part of Power of the BI, you already know. Your life is a lot more simpler than the average individual that is working as a Power BI developer, because they don't have this. Anyway, thank you for joining in, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next video.